So tell me more about, since he's gotten into prison and how he's using trans.
So I had a phone call. I hadn't heard anything really from 2016 when he was sentenced. I had a phone call late 2021 to say, hey, he's up for release. He's up for parole. So you need to start preparing a statement. Obviously, this is like 5 years after his sentence. He was supposed to serve 10. So I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I was expecting at least 5 years of my life left before I had to face this.
Is that what, because I never understand with prison, is that because they often say you only actually serve half of it?
Yeah.
So was he given 10 years and then you get out at 5?
So he was given actually a European extended sentence, which the judge said was justified because of the level of his manipulation and his defence, which was he kept it in his family. So he's not a risk to society because he didn't do it to anybody else.
He should be locked up for life.
My argument was, if you can do that to your own child, what can you do to somebody else's?
Yeah.
So I was phoned and I was in shock, and it was kind of like okay, I'll leave that with you now. So obviously, thankfully, I had support around me and my family. Tried to prepare like a bit of a statement as to why I didn't think this should happen, and heard nothing till early 2022. When I was sat at home one morning, literally on my own with my small child, I had a phone call come up from the victim liaison officer, and I answered it, and she said, oh, just to let you know, he's no longer eligible for parole because of an altercation that happened like last year. Which tells me he's done something, because if it was his parole and he hadn't done something, then why would it affect that? So he's done something. And he's given us permission for you to know that he's now Claire Fox. He's a woman.
That must have been a shock.
It was like she was telling me what she had for breakfast yesterday. It was like, oh yeah, by the way, he's given me, like, he's allowing me to know that he's a woman now, but actually he's just got a wig and changed his name.
Oh my God. And to the name, because in case people don't know who Claire Fox is, who is Claire Fox?
So Claire Fox is actually a lady in the House of Lords. She's very much for female feminine rights, and she's made it very clear since kind of this story's come out about her feelings and thoughts towards obviously transitioning within sexual predators, or anyone really who's committed a crime. And he used her name, and this is proven that these perpetrators are doing this, because then you Google their name and Claire Fox comes up, the lady in the House of Lords. So, I mean, it doesn't now. He's probably regretting that. But
it comes up as him now, doesn't it?
It would, yeah. If you type in that, obviously she comes as well, but the stories come with it. But for me, if I wanted to become a male, I change my first name to match a male name, right? I don't want to hide my identity and change my last name. What's that about? That's hiding something. You're running away from something. And I just, it was from that moment I knew he's done this for a reason. He was segregated in prison. So obviously being female now, he was at risk of rape, assault.
But they segregated him to help him?
Yeah, because he's female. He's identifying as female. So now to male prisoners, he's a risk, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it's funny how someone who's just had an altercation is now suddenly given every segregation right that there possibly is. It's clever, really, when you think about it, but that shows how dangerous it is as well.
This is another issue that because this is a trans issue, I suppose it's an issue with the laws that we've changed without thought for safeguarding. And again, I had that debate, and Peter Tatchell was saying, you don't take rights away from trans women. And I said, no, you're giving extra rights to them. And this is a clear and cut case of somebody who's done bad things in prison and is now getting extra rights by pretending to be someone else. The other thing is the Claire Fox thing. In addition to, as you say, he's trying to, that way he's hiding and he can change his name and his life and everything. He's trolling, isn't he? He's being a troll. It's like Roxy Tickle. I don't know if you followed that story. Roxy Tickle was like this Australian man who wanted to be in an app only for women. So he changed his name to Roxy Tickle, which is like a porn star name. And it's like, you're trolling, but he won in court and was able to be in the women's app now. He's just a big burly bloke who hasn't really done anything else to try and be a woman. So what happened next? I mean, he's in prison. He's now a woman. He's segregated. What then?
So I was told he's up for parole again. Shortly after this, prepare your statement. This time it's going ahead. So I'm thinking, great, okay, this has come out of nowhere again. So I'm finally starting to get my life on track after this man has taken it all from me, and it's being thrown in my face. But it's very much you're on your own. He's getting all this segregation. He had his deed poll paid for by the prison service. He had his wig provided. Now, if I went into prison as a female, I wouldn't get my makeup paid for.
Really? Is that right then?
It was all paid for. It was all given to him.
But I read that and I just thought, oh, that must be some sort of... I mean, Claire Fox, the actual Claire Fox said that. And I thought, oh, maybe that's something that's just given to all women. And now I think about it, that's quite a large taxpayer expense to give makeup
isn't it?
to women.
Yeah, it's a luxury. Yeah. You don't get luxuries in prison unless you work and pay for them. But he wasn't. He was just handed it all. He was taking a picture with a blonde wig on, and everything that I'm sent correspondence-wise is all she, her, him. Him's gone. It's all she and her. And now I'm made to address him as her. I actually refused in my parole statement was very much him.
Were you admonished for doing that? No.
What could they do? I wasn't going to change.
Yeah.
You can't force me to say that the man who is still a man, he still has his genitals, is now a woman, and I should just call him that and respect that, because he definitely didn't respect me as I was growing up as a child.
Oh, man. So he was up for parole, and then he got it, did he?
Yeah. So the parole process was actually disgusting. So I was told I had no victim liaison officer at this time. I was kind of like in a grey area, just waiting for someone to be my victim liaison officer because I didn't have anyone. So I'm going for a parole hearing with no victim liaison officer, which is the only thing I'm entitled to as a victim, and told I have to join the parole hearing from Teams at home on my laptop.
Why was this?
Because I didn't have anyone. I had no victim liaison officer, so therefore I had nobody to support me. So it's like, oh, if you want to do it, you can join in on Teams as if, I'm joining a work call, or I'm joining a Teams call with you or something. I'm therefore allowing this story into my home. I'm allowing this man into my home now, and I can't get away from that. If I go to a building and talk about it, I go home. But actually, I'm allowing this into my home. And it was only because I fought that I didn't have to do it there. But that was what they were saying. It wasn't my right to have any legal representation, but it was his. And it's crazy. And I just can't.
Have they explained why that is?
No, there's just no rights for victims. So I actually did a speech in the House of Lords regarding this, and they were all very much, why? How did we get here? What's went wrong? Well, what went wrong was we created laws and legislation for prisoners to make sure they kept their human rights in prison. But where's the laws and legislation for victims? There is none. So therefore, when it comes to a prisoner being released, the law and legislation is there. The police have to follow that. Victim liaisons have to follow that. They don't have to follow anything for victims. We have no rights. I was phoned and told he's going to be released into my local community because it was his human right to do that. But my human right of having to live next door to my abuser didn't matter